All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ian Walrath. I am the camp director at Camp Gorton, um, and we're getting ready for a great summer again. In fact, we're at camp right now. My staff is out working to get camp ready so that we are ready to go for this summer. So tonight I'm just going to run through some things, just some important information for you to make sure that you're ready when you get here and to kind of know what to expect when you come to camp. And then open it up to questions. I'm willing to answer questions for just about everything. We're really excited to have you guys come join us this summer. So, as you know, our theme this year is superheroes. Here are some important things for you to make sure that you have before you get to camp, things to follow up on. The biggest issue that we have with campers coming to camp is not having a fully filled out medical form. The medical form had for a week long trip is part A, part B1, B2, and part C. Um, I One thing to keep in mind is the form we use is a BSA form, and that a lot of people think of it as it's my physical for scouts. Well, the physical is may be what your doctor gives you, but the paperwork on Part C has a section where the doctor has to sign saying that you're physically capable and able to be at camp. So unfortunately, just a copy of the physical from a doctor is not sufficient enough for your medical form. The doctor has to sign that form. Just a copy of the physical doesn't tell us anything. Um, I could be deathly ill and go get a physical, and they're going to give me a copy of what's on that physical. So the Part C does need to be signed by the doctor. It is not a physical. The form from the doctor, the physical form is not enough for that part of that. You need to make sure the immunizations are filled in as much as possible for the month and the year. And this year, something new we're doing. And we used years ago, we used to have a form to fill out to allow the kids to use sunscreen or bug spray. And that form disappeared for a little while. And we're not doing a whole new form this year. But on part B2 of the medical forms, there's a section for over-the-counter drugs. Well, according to the Department of Health, sunscreen and bug spray are just those things. And so the kids can apply them themselves. We can't provide it to them. And the only way that an adult can help them with that is if it's their parent or if they explicitly ask the adult to help them. But on part B2, under that over-the-counter drug section, if the scout is going to use bug spray or sunscreen while they're at camp, have the parents list those in that section and then just sign underneath it where it says parent signature. That's that's showing us that the parents are okay with their student or with their scout using sunscreen or bug spray. So just something new for this year. Honestly, if I get a note from them, same thing, that would work as well. Just something saying that their scout can use sunscreen or bug spray. If the parents are here with them, it's no big deal. But if you have a scout here without their parents, the next biggest thing that we run into issues with is knowing about food allergies and dietary restrictions. In each registration for each person coming to camp, there's a section in there for food allergies and dietary restrictions. We will do everything in our power to meet your dietary needs and to avoid your allergies, but I can only do that if I know about them. So if you have anyone with dietary restrictions or food allergies, please add that to the registration so that we can pull those up and make sure that we are taking care of everybody as much as possible. And then if we have questions about it, we can reach out to you and make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep you and your scouts safe during meal times. A couple other things to keep in mind before you come to camp is if you have any scout that's going to leave early and not leave with a parent. So my aunt's coming to pick me up for a little league game, something like that. There's a form in the leader through the leader's guide that's called an early release form. That form is something that we have to make sure that we're keeping our scouts safe. It requires a unit leader signature and whoever is picking them up signature so that we know who took the child from camp and that it was authorized and we won't let them leave without you knowing that they're leaving as well. So if you have any scouts that have to leave early for anything, that form is in the leader's guide and you can, or online, and you can pull that up and have, if you have to fill that out ahead of time, it just saves us time when it's time for them to leave. Another thing to start working on now is on Friday night, we do a barbecue dinner and we invite parents and families to come and join us. Um, and I can't believe I didn't write this down. I don't remember the exact cost. I believe it's $15, but don't take my word for that. I will send that out to everybody in an email and let them know specifically um, what the price is on that, but it's around there. You come out, you join us for our closing campfire. Hopefully, the scouts will be performing for their parents and everybody else at camp, and then you get a good old-fashioned barbecue walk-through cafeteria style meal, and then scouts are released for from camp. So those numbers, your that for each person who's coming to camp and registered for camp, that meal is paid for and it's a number of tickets. So let's say your unit registered 15 people for camp, and but five people are going to go home before dinner. That means you have an extra five meals that you can give to other parents that are coming out for the other scouts. What I'll be asking for by Wednesday or Thursday morning is if you get a ballpark number of how many extra people are coming or how many people won't be there for the dinner. And we'll talk about that more when you get here. But start asking your parents if they're going to join you for dinner on Friday night, so we have an idea of how much food to prepare and make sure we're ready for everybody. Um, Moving down my list here, water shoes for waterfront. No one is allowed in the water without something on their feet. It can be a real pair of water shoes. It could be a pair of Crocs locked in. It could be an old pair of tennis shoes. But we do have zebra mussels in our lake, and so we are a public lake, so there's also access from the public throughout the rest of the year. So we do our best to make sure that our swimming area is all cleared of any hazards, but we require some type of shoe on your feet to be in the water. Even if you're just walking along the edge with your feet in the water, we require that to be to there. We have some that have been left here over the years that you're welcome to borrow if you find one that fits, but plan on bringing those yourself. Otherwise, we can't let you in the water. Along with that, with footwear as well, no open-toed shoes in camp. That applies to campers, parents, brothers, sisters, everybody. A pair of flip-flops or open-toed sandals. We're going to ask you to find another pair of footwear to wear, just as a safety precaution. Lots of rocks, lots of sticks, and lots of ways to get hurt. So that's just one of our requirements here at camp is that everybody wears closed-toed shoes. As far as program goes, site assignments were done today. So if you log into your accounts, you will see, if you look at your registration, you will see what sites you've been assigned to. For Cub Scouts, we got everybody on the lakeside so that no one's having to go across the road except for shooting sports activities and a few other small activities, but no one's camping on the other side of the road. This always comes up. Can we bring our own personal tents or hammocks? Yes, you absolutely may bring your own personal tents and hammocks. In our sites, what we have is a wooden platform with a green canvas tent. Looks a lot like the old military tents. Inside there are two bunks with a mattress on each bunk, and that space is there, and that's yours for the time you're here. We plan our campsites around Cubs about around the scouts sharing a tent, so two scouts per tent and we plan on the adults having their own tent. How you handle that as far as your pack goes is up to you, but that's how our planning works is two scouts per tent and one adult per tent is how we plan our time. So, but if a scout wants to bring their own tent or bring a hammock, or a family wants to bring their own tent, they're absolutely welcome to. You don't even need to let us know that. Just know that's a thing you can do. So, on the next screen, we're going to talk about your first day here at camp, what our daily schedule looks like throughout the week, and then we'll get into how advancement works at camp and some of the expectations we have from our campers as well. So, like I said, our theme this year is Superhero Academy. We are planning on training all of your scouts to be superheroes this week, but our best laid plans never work out the way they're supposed to. Usually somebody finds us and there's a villain or a bad guy that messes up our plans and we all need to work together to make sure that we can foil the villains and return things back to how they're supposed to be and leave camp trained as a superhero. So our whole program will be designed around superheroes, and most of our activities will be all on that. So here we have a there's what our week looks like. Our first day of camp is right here, the Welcome to Camp Gordon section. So check-in starts at 1 p.m. and runs till if you can be here by 2, that's perfect. Then we can keep things moving and make sure that we get through everything that we need to do that day. And we will not start early. So showing up at 12:30 is just going to have you sitting in the parking lot waiting for us. My staff and I have things that we have to get done before we're ready to go, and so we won't do any early check-ins. So at 1 p.m., right inside the gate, you will see me sitting at a table with my computer and a couple other people helping me. And when your whole unit is here, we ask you to come up and bring everybody up with you. So if you're still waiting for Steven to show up for the trip and you know he's on his way and he's got 5 more minutes, wait for him. If you've got somebody you're like, I have no idea where they're at, they should have already been here. We will get you checked in and get them checked in when they show up, or someone who's going to be late. But we don't want to have, oh, I got 3 of my scouts, so I got 4 more. Oh, I got 5 more showed up. So try to make sure you get everybody together at the same time to check in. We'll move you through as quickly as we can. During check-in, you're going to check in with me and make sure who's here and who's not here. You're going to get a colored bracelet. That colored bracelet has to be worn by everybody in camp that week. It is one of our safety things, and I'll explain it more when you're at camp. But that bracelet is one of our ways that we make sure that only people that are supposed to be in camp are in camp. So you get a bracelet. We'll get you to your campsites so you can drop off your gear. And we're not going to have a much time right off the bat to set up our campsites. We're going to get through some other stuff first, and then we'll come back and set our camp up. So you'll take your stuff to your site, you'll drop it off. Then you'll go through our medical office and you'll check all your medical forms and make sure they're all filled out right. We'll check in any medications that need to be turned in, any prescription medications that need to be turned in. We'll take at that time and explain that system. What we do is those prescription medicines go into a lockbox that our medical officer and an adult in the unit or in the site will have a key to. And so you will be responsible for administering the medication to your scouts when they need it. That's not something that we're capable of doing here. That's something you need to take on but your own. But we are going to give you a way to secure that and lock it up. And that way it is safe and away from the other scouts. We're going to go do swim tests. We're going to go down and we ask that everybody in camp at least get in the water, even the parents and the adults. Even if you don't in your brain, I'm not going swimming at all this year. Even if you go and you walk and put your feet in the water, you're at least going to get a non-swimmer tag, and we know that you're someone who's not going to swim. But we like to get everybody in camp at least feet wet in the water so that we know where everybody's swimming level is. It may change on which activities we do during the week. If we have a ton of scouts that can't swim, then we may change the activities at the waterfront a little bit. If we have a ton of scouts that are great swimmers, that may change what we do as well. So we'll do those swim tests. We'll take you on a camp tour. We're going to stop by the dining hall. You're going to get to see where you eat and see how our meals work. We do family style meals, so we will have 8 people sitting at a table, and my staff will join tables as we go. All the food will come to your table. We have a waiter system, so the scouts and the parents get to help a little bit, bring food to the table, and then we eat like a family, sit around the table and having an opportunity to visit and enjoy our meals together. And so you'll get to see how all that works in the dining hall. We'll take you around and show you all the different areas in camp where we have different activities. You'll get to see the fishing area, the scoutcraft area where you get to learn about knots and fires and knife sharpening and all of that stuff. You get to see our STEM area. You'll get to see scoutcraft, and you'll get to see where the archery and the BB gun range are. So we'll take you on a little tour of camp so you know where everything's at. And then we'll take you back to your campsite, and you can then get your camp set up and get our bunks all squared away and have some time in our site. At 4 o'clock, I ask for one person from each campsite. Um, If you want to send one from each unit in the campsite, that's absolutely okay. But I need at least one adult from each campsite to join me at 4 o'clock in Memorial Lodge, which is down by the waterfront. It's the building right next to where you'll do your swim tests. And we will have a half hour, 45-minute meeting with more details about how we do things in camp, our safety procedures. You get to meet some of the other staff. It's just a chance for us to get any last minute things out to you guys and things that are more pertinent right then and not necessarily right now. So I ask you to have somebody join us there. And then you have until 5:45 to do camp and set up your bunks and have some time in your campsites. At 5:45 every night, we have evening colors, we have evening flags, we do morning flags and evening flags. And so we ask everybody to join us at 5:45. If your scouts have field uniforms, the blue shirts, or if they're crossing, if they're Webelos and they've moved over to the tan shirts, we ask them to wear those for evening flag and for dinner. That's the only time we ask them to wear those uniforms. The rest of the time, it's the activities uniform, which is like scout t-shirt, or if they're just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, that's fine. Um, just make sure that our clothing is appropriate for the scouts and the adults. Make sure that something that what we're wearing is right for the occasion. So as far as like bathing suits go, bathing suits um, should be appropriate. We are at a scout camp and we have kids running around, so wearing a bikini to go swimming at summer camp is probably not a good choice, and I'm probably going to ask you to find something else to wear if you're going to continue to get in the water. So make sure bathing suits are appropriate. But then we'll have dinner from 6 to whenever we're done. Till we have about an hour set aside for it. On this schedule, it doesn't show it, but at 7 o'clock, we'll meet out on the parade field and we'll do a big game with all the scouts, and then we'll have our opening campfire at 7:45. We will lead everybody down to that. That is usually done about 8:30. And then after that, it's your time in the campsites, and we ask everybody to kind of quiet down and lights out around 10 o'clock. We do have neighbors to camp that are very close. We want to make sure that we keep them on our good side because they help us keep an eye on camp and make sure that what's going on around us is appropriate for what we're doing as well. So the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you will see we start our day at 7:45 with morning flags. We'll all get together on the parade field, and we will have our flag ceremony in the morning, and then we will go eat breakfast. And then right after breakfast, again, I ask one adult from every campsite to join me for a quick 10-minute meeting. It's at the chapel. So I will have extra coffee there. And so that's why we call it our second cup of coffee meeting. But it's an opportunity for us to touch base every morning before our day starts so that if there's any last minute changes, you know about it. That if there's any concerns or anything that you need to know or questions you have an opportunity to meet with me and all my administrative staff, and we will keep you up to date as far as what we're doing every day, that day, or if there's any changes to the schedule. At Camp Gordon, we do all of our learning and all of our stuff as a rotation. So when you show up on Tuesday, I'm going to give you a copy of a rotation schedule that's going to let you're going to be scheduled to go to this station, this station, this station, and this station at specific times. That way, everybody gets to do everything. We highly encourage our leaders, to encourage your scouts to at least try every activity. We know Cub Scouts is not about getting it right the first time, but giving it a try. So even if it's something they don't think they're going to enjoy, please have them give it a shot and see if that, you at least try it. So we'll have morning rotations from 9 to noon. And then at noon, we call it waiter call. We ask each day your unit will pick a different scout or two to come help be waiters for their tables, and they'll show up at noon, and lunch will be at 12:15. Right after lunch, we have what we call siesta. Siesta is a break time. We don't do any program during that time. The trading post is closed. It's really just a quiet time for you to spend, really to give your scouts an opportunity to relax and rest a little bit before the afternoon. It's also a break for my staff. It's the first time that they're not on duty and not having to be 100% for your scouts. So they get an hour off, and we ask you to respect that and to be in your sights and have your, it doesn't need to be a nap, but naps are awesome. and make sure that your scouts are just kind of getting an opportunity to reset and relax for the afternoon. And at 2 o'clock, we'll start another set of rotations. And then um, we'll have those rotations end about 5 o'clock. From 5 to 5:45, you have that time to gather up all your scouts, get people changed for dinner, get cleaned up a little bit, play in the campsite a little bit. But then we will have flags at 5:45, and then the evening is pretty much the same. On Wednesday, we'll have a camp-wide activity that goes along with our theme. And then, so our evening activity at 7 is usually always about our theme. And so those will develop as we go, as our story evolves for our scouts. And that's how Wednesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday will go. Thursday evening is when our Arrow of Light Scouts are transferring from Webelos to Arrow of Light Scouts, get an opportunity to go for an outpost. We offer an overnight adventure outside of their normal campsite, and it fulfills that requirement of cooking a meal over a fire and setting up a campsite and all of those things. So those older scouts have the opportunity. They're not required to if they don't want to, but have an opportunity to go on a little adventure. We do ask leaders to kind of help with that. We are limited on how many staff members I can send. So I'm asking, we always ask adult leaders that if they're willing to go and do that with your scouts, then to volunteer for that. And we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. Then Friday comes around, and this schedule was made last year, so it says Medieval Carnival, but it will be something different for superheroes. The morning time will be the same. We will do rotations, we will have lunch, we will have siesta, and then after that, what we'll do is we will wrap up the storyline for our Cubs, for our superhero story. So that's when we finally beat the bad guys, or we finally get back whatever they stole from us. It's the conclusion to our story right before evening flags. And then we'll have evening flags, and then we have our campfire and give out all the awards that the scouts earned during the week. And then that dinner there is that barbecue dinner that we talked about. So you have the option of staying over Friday night. Your registration actually pays through Saturday morning. And so if your unit, I understand if you want to go home, most do. After that, you are tired, your scouts are tired, um, and we're ready to go home and sleep in our own bed and take a nice long hot shower in our own shower. But if your unit would like to stay over and camp one more night as a unit, we would love for you to stay with us. And in the morning, we will do we'll do like a continental style breakfast so that everybody gets something to eat, and then you guys can get packed up and get out of here. So if you would like to stay over, that is something you've already paid for. You're welcome to do that. And you can let us know if that's your plan once you're in camp and we're meeting at camp. So, all right, here's just kind of a quick kind of packing list, things to bring to camp. Um, I'm not going to go through them all, but here's kind of the list of things that are, and I believe that to things to bring. The typical camping stuff, we're going to provide you with all the eating stuff and a bed. You just need all your personal stuff and something to sleep on or in. We highly encourage you guys to plan with your unit and come ready for our theme. It's awesome when we have a pack show up and they're all, they're ready to go and they're got costumes or t-shirts or something that goes along with our theme. It just helps us build that world for them as well. So if your pack would like to do something like that, we more than encourage it. We love it when it happens. We do have a trading post here at camp. We have snacks, candy, sodas, waters, slushies, ice cream, popcorn, all the snacks in the world. We also have um, clothing, sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, camp gadgets, pocket knives for the older scouts, or for like the Webelos and Arrow of Light, actually from Bear Up, I guess. Um, all kinds of fun stuff in the trading post. So the trading post takes cash, check, credit cards. So know that we have that here. and it's up to you whether you want to have your scouts bring that stuff, but it is here, and we would love to have them come in and visit the trading post. If you have something specific that you really, really like and we don't have it in the trading post, let us know, and you never know, it might show up the next day for sale on the trading post. So, know that. Optional things to bring is a camera. Like I said, the bug repellent and the sunscreen, as long as that part B2 is filled out or their parent is here, then or a note, then they can do that. If they want to bring a musical instrument or their own religious literature, or a battery powered alarm clock, those are all things that you could bring. We don't have power in the sites. For if we have anybody, that's where the filling out the registration comes in. If you have medical needs like a CPAP, and you don't have your own portable battery, that's something I need to know. I do have a couple that are available to borrow and use here at camp, but those are things that I need to know because they're on a first come, first serve basis. But there is no power in the site, so everything needs to be preferably battery powered. Things not to bring to camp. I'm not going to read through the list. Those are obviously things that hopefully you wouldn't encourage your scouts to bring to summer camp, anyways. Some of the big things are like camouflage and military clothing. We are not a military group, and if scouts are bringing like full sets of camo thinking they're going to play tag in the dark, it usually just ends up in a bad thing. Now, if they have a camo t-shirt, no big deal. Or they have, a military-based t-shirt, that's not a thing. That's talking about like, fall camo because I'm going to hide in the woods kind of thing. All those other things on there are just kind of things we normally would not bring to camp. Camp does not have a cell phone policy. Our policy is that the pack is gonna have their own policy. So you decide as a pack whether you want your youth to have cell phones or not, or when and where they can use them. They can be used appropriately, or they can end up being an inappropriate tool. If your scouts have them and they become a problem, then we will politely ask them to give them to the leaders. And if it continues to be a problem, then we'll make sure that the phones get into your hands and have a talk with the scout about how to use those things appropriately. So we have a lost and found. It's in the office. So if you lose anything, come visit us. We hold on to those things till the end of camp. After that, they go back to the main office for a few weeks, and after that, they get donated. So don't expect to come back in 6 months and find your raincoat that you left still here. It won't be. But if you get home and realize you're missing something, or during the week you're missing something, come to the office and we'll help you see if it's been turned in at the office. Campsites. Our campsites are laid out in a specific order, and it's not as much of a deal with Cub Scouts, but we're asking everybody not to move tents or the canopies or the fire pits. That where they're sitting is really where they should be. If you have a need to move one of those things or one of the picnic tables, please talk to the staff first and make sure that we just want to make sure that where you want to move things still meets our safety and takes, make sure we're being respectful and responsible in the outdoors. Our flammable liquids policy, that means white gas, propane, anything like that. Those things, we do not have a place for you to store them here. So if you're going to bring extras, if you're going to bring a propane lantern, you're welcome to. But any extra canisters need to be stored in your vehicle. We don't have we don't have a place to be able to store them here for you, but they can't be loose in your campsite. That's a fire department or fire code thing. The only propane canisters you can have in your site are the ones connected to the devices you're using. So the one that's connected to the propane tank or to the lantern is the one you can have in the site. Extra store in the car, you can switch them out if they go out. We prefer rechargeable battery operated lighting. Um, but if you want to bring the lanterns, you can. Just know that that's what our policy is as far as that is. Each site has a fire pit in it. You're welcome any night you want or any time to have a campfire in your campsite. But we do have fire tools that are hanging up in each of the latrines that we ask those fire tools to be brought down to the fire pit as well as a fire bucket that's halfway full of water that will also be in the campsite, and those are brought down near the fire pit just so that we can control those fires in case we have an issue of it starting to get out of control. I don't really like the word inspection, but I don't have a better one for it at this point. We do campsite inspections every day. My commissioner, Michelle, will be driving through the sites and checking and just making sure everything's good. We usually do an announcement at lunchtime about who had the best campsite, and we have what we call a spirit stick, where if your campsite wins the neatest or the most new stuff, or maybe you guys built a big gateway or something like that, we like to recognize the scouts for their hard work. So your campsite will get the spirit stick, and we ask you to add some decorations to it, and then the next day we'll pass it on to whoever's next. For Cub Scouts, honestly, we want them to feel good about what they do. So we will it's going to feel competitive, but it's really not. It's about trying to recognize the scouts for their hard work. So we're looking for things like, bunks are all clean and there's not clothes everywhere, that maybe they built a gateway or they built, an axe yard or did something to make their campsite a little bit better. That's really that. And we're checking really for safety things when we come through. But we add those other pieces on so that they have a reason to do a good job. So, food in the campsites. Food should not be stored in the campsites of any kind, even things like granola bars and things like that. Are in the woods, and 11 months out of the year, this is the home to all the animals and critters that live in the woods. We have squirrels, we have raccoons, we have deer, we have skunks, and they love granola bars. They love gummies, and they love leftover candy bars. So, and they will tear through just about anything to get to them. So, you are welcome to have snacks in your campsite when you are going to eat them, but we ask you not to store them in the campsite. Again, keep them in a car, and maybe in a cooler, something that's not in the campsite, because I would hate for one of your scouts or one of your adults to come in contact with one of the creatures that live here, because that starts a whole different process with the Department of Health and having to check everybody for rabies and trying to catch that animal. And that's just a process that I don't want to do. So we want to make sure that we're keeping food out of the sites. If you do have food in your sites, that's totally fine. Each site has a garbage can with garbage bags in it, but we ask you not to leave those in your site overnight. So every day, if people are eating in the campsite and you have food wrappers and stuff like that, we ask you to bring that garbage bag up and put it in our dumpsters. We'll get you a new bag, but we want to make sure that food's not left in overnight so nobody comes to visit you in the middle of the night and you wake up with the raccoon on the middle of your chest. And it has happened. So just know that. And like I said, tents and hammocks, if they want to bring them, it's totally fine to bring those. Just know some of the sites are not ideal for using your own tents. So if you have a scout who really wants to bring their own tent, just in the back of your mind, just make sure they understand that depending on where you're at, it may not be ideal for setting up their own tent. But we'll do our best to make sure they get an opportunity to if they want. All right. That's what I've got for you guys tonight. We are looking forward to everybody coming out. Thank you for being patient. And are there any questions? Feel free to either put them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, I do actually have a question, and I think it was probably something that was mentioned, but right as soon as the meeting started, one of my kids got their pant leg caught in their bicycle.
Oh, gotta love it.
The chicken barbecue on Friday.
Yes.
What is the cost for the tickets, and then
So
what time should parents be there if
I'm
they're
gonna send an email out with the exact amount. I did not write it down before we started this, and I apologize for that. I believe it's around $15,
okay?
but I will send an email out
Friday.
to let you
Okay.
know that ahead of time. Just kind of plan around that number. And if it's higher than that, then I'm probably going to drop it to 15 anyways, because that's the words that came out of my mouth. So,
Okay.
but yeah, and that's something that you can pay for in the office or the trading post anytime during the week.
Okay. And one more thing. I have a scout who part of his medication is stuff that has to be refrigerated.
Okay.
That's something that
So
we are
yeah,
able to
absolutely.
accommodate.
So, yep, the
I know
health
the parents were
officer.
asking me, it's like, should we have a cooler? It's like, I'd rather not a cooler because the cooler's not going to last a whole week.
Yeah. So, my medical officer, she does have a specific refrigerator for medications that need to stay refrigerated.
Okay.
But when it's time for those medications, we just ask you to come up with an adult to administer them.
Okay.
Department of Health is really, really picky, and my EMT, according to them, is not authorized to give anything She can't even use antibacterial cream on a scout.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. So you'd think an EMT could, do more than put a Band-Aid on and wash a cut off, but according to the Department of Health, they can't. So we just ask you to bring an adult when it's time for those, and we always have somebody in the health lodge, and we can get you what you need. Yes, so in the chat, we had a question of just want to confirm that Outpost is for rising fourth and fifth graders. Yes. We open up the Outpost to Weeblos and Arrow of Light Scouts. So that would be scouts going to be Weeblos or officially Weeblos June 1st and Arrow of Light Scouts June 1st. The Weeblos don't, and if I, it's been a while since I did a Weeblo program. All my Cub Scouts are either younger than that, but if I remember right, the Weeblos don't necessarily have a camping requirement for any of their stuff, but we still allow them to come and join us just so they can have some more fun. All right, if there's nothing else, thanks again for joining me. We're looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple weeks. Like I said, my staff is currently putting the swimming area together, so we're ready to go for that. And we're excited. We've got a lot of returning staff members coming this year. So if you've been before, your scouts have been before, they're going to see lots of faces they know, but they're going to see lots of new people as well. So we're looking forward to a great summer. If you guys have any questions at all between now and then, feel free to reach out to me. My email is ian@campgordon.org, and feel free to reach out to me. Emails, right at this point, email is probably the best way to go. I'm a teacher, so I'm wrapping up the school year and ramping this up. So I got a lot going on along with two scout units. So, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you in a few weeks.